Hi everyone, this is New Sensei. As you probably know, the Mandarin Duck bows have taken the market by storm, being very low priced yet functional and fairly good quality bows. Many of you have seen my review on the Mandarin Duck Phantom, and in fact quite a few people ask about the Mandarin Duck Windrunner, so here it is. You might find this bow sold under the Junsing label on sites like Amazon or eBay, which is the same bow. The Mandarin Duck Windrunner is a rebranding, and you often find this in very cheap kits. Now you can buy this off Mandarin Duck for around I think $80 or $90, and it comes with this. That's basically it. You can also find this in kits which come with a basic sight and maybe some arrows as well. But we'll take a look at the bow proper. The riser, as you can see, is a fairly plain but nicely shaped piece of wood. There are a few decorative stripes, but otherwise that is basically it. It is as simple as you can get for a wooden recurve, and this is the kind of bow that I would normally recommend to beginners because it's basically very functional. It is all you need for a basic starter bow, and considering the low price of the Mandarin Duck Windrunner, this is definitely a viable option. I do want to make a quick note about the arrow rest. The package that was sent to me from Mandarin Duck did not feature an arrow rest, unlike the Phantom, which had one provided. So I used my own plastic rest. This costs around $2.50. So if you're going to use the Windrunner, do make sure that the kit you buy does come with one of these. You can of course shoot directly off the shelf. If you choose to do so, it's highly recommended that you buy a shelf rug rather than shooting straight off the wood. Otherwise you'll find yourself damaging your arrows or your riser. The finish on the Windrunner is actually very smooth. The varnish and gloss have been well done. I mean, the finish is surprisingly good. I would expect a bow at this price range to have more quality control issues, but from first inspection, the wood and feel are actually really good. In some ways, it almost feels better than the Samick Sage straight out of the box. That's saying a lot. The size of the grip is actually fairly chunky. Now, I don't have big hands, I am Asian, so if you have chunky hands, you will find the grip to be quite comfortable. Now, for me, it's usable, of course. I mean, the throat of the grip is narrow enough for you to get a nice grip around it, but I find it to be a little larger in the palm of the hand. So when you're holding it, you'll find that it sits a bit more flush against the base of the thumb, so I find it to be a bit more of a squeeze to use. And again, if you have larger hands than I do, then this should be a fairly comfortable grip compared to other bows. If we take a look at a very similar bow, this is the OMP Adventure, otherwise known as the Samick Polaris. This particular bow has a very similar appearance because of the stripe and design. So you can see that Junsing and Mandarin Duck have obviously tried to emulate certain design consistencies, but the grip on this is actually very different. So you can see here that the grip is a lot more similar to the Target recurve grip in terms of its bulging shape, but the throat is also very narrow. So when you grip it, for me, as someone with smaller hands, that's quite a comfortable size. And the same goes with bows like the PXC Razorback. So many of the entry-level bows have fairly small grips. The Windrunner does stand out because the grip is significantly thicker. The riser comes with the standard bushing, so if you choose to use a plunger or a screw-in rest, there's the bushing there. It has the standard sight bushings on top here, and it has a standard stabilizer bushing here. The limb pockets are made from plastic, and they're actually quite large. They are quite well built into the riser, so it's a pretty solid construction, and the plastic's the same sort of thing as what you might find on other beginner bows like the Razorback and the Samick Polaris. Assembling the bow is straightforward. You have the upper and lower limbs, which are marked as such, and they slide in really nicely into the limb pocket. It's actually a really good fit. It fits quite snug. Even without the limb bolt, it actually stays in. So this is a really tight design. It's nice to have something which fits in this closely without having tool assistance. But of course, you need to secure it with the limb bolt, and it screws in really nicely as well. So easy assembly, very straightforward. And I do like how the bolts are large, so you don't have to really use a small wrench to get in. Top limb, same sort of thing here. Just slides in, screws in, tightened by hand. And it does come pre-wax or grease, so the thread should slide in very nicely. And there we go, done. The bow, of course, comes with a fairly standard string. Now, if you look at the Mandarin Duck website, it recommends you use a bowstringer, and you should always use one. Anyway, you should always be using a bowstringer. So this is the Mandarin Duck Windrunner, fully assembled. It's a fairly good bow, actually. The fact that you have this light wooden riser with the black limbs does make it quite appealing. Many of the beginner bows have white limbs, which look fine. They're probably more consistent for the color scheme, but many people like black limbs, and well, here you go. This is a pretty good bow. The bow is a 68-inch bow, by the way, so it is a full-size bow. And for people who are looking at the Phantom and comparing this to the Windrunner, then you might find the Windrunner might tip the scales because it is a larger bow. And if you're a larger person or you want a full-size target bow, then the Windrunner is by far the more stable platform. So without yapping on too much, let's see the Windrunner in action. Yep, it handles like any other bow. Solid, stable, considering that it's a 68-inch bow, it's quite a stable platform. First grouping, 10 meters, shooting instinctively, the bow works fine. I'd say that's good enough. If you've come to this video hoping to find someone to tell you that you don't need to spend hundreds of dollars on an accurate bow, that was your answer. Of course, true accuracy is based on the user, not the bow. Nonetheless, the Windrunner is a very solid platform. At worst, it is no worse than any other starter wooden recurve, be it a Samick Polaris or Samick Sage or PC Razorback or SF Optimo Plus. It's basically the same line of bow, but at best it is a strong economical choice. It is around 30 to 40% cheaper than most other bows you buy brand new. So in that sense, it is very good value for money. And honestly, from having used it, I can't really find a fault that would justify a negative comment on its price. So if you've been looking at the Windrunner or the Junsing bows and you're wondering, is it worth it? Yes, it is definitely a good bow for its price. And disregarding price, it's still a good bow. I would definitely recommend this for someone who is looking for a bow to start with. I mean, I've reviewed quite a few of these recurves, so when I say it's okay, trust me. Are there any downsides? Well, I guess the wood is fairly plain, but is that a bad thing? I mean, no, other bows might have prettier stripes or different kinds of wood, but if you don't care about that and just want a functional bow, hey. I suppose the burning question would be the Windrunner or the Phantom. Both these bows are from Mandarin Duck or Junsing, and they're both priced very similarly. Why would I pick one over the other? The Phantom is really designed to be a field style bow, so if you're thinking of picking this up for hunting or shooting in the woods, this is a bit more suited for that sort of thing. It is smaller, compact, and the aluminium frame is a very sturdy feel. So if you want something that is strong or feels strong in your hand, the Phantom does have an edge. On the other hand, the Windrunner is more like your conventional wooden target recurve bow. It is a good starting point for someone who just wants to do archery. Additionally, because it does come in 68 inches, it is a much more stable bow. And you find that especially as a taller person or someone with a longer draw length, you'll be much more comfortable using the Windrunner. Additionally, because the Windrunner has a more conventional grip design, it's easy to pick one of these up and then pick a different bow and use that well. The Phantom has an odd grip, which works fine, but it's a bit unusual compared to the standard recurve grip. While the Phantom is getting very good press, especially online, I personally prefer the Windrunner. For me, this is more like the kind of bow I want to use. The wooden design that is more traditional, the grip is a bit more comfortable for me, and I shoot in an archery range, so I don't have to worry about carrying this around in the woods. So I like this one better. This is much more like the Samick Sage kind of bow, which people are really harping on about. The Phantom is fine. It's, again, the small, compact cousin to the Windrunner. And if you're looking for something with smaller size and good punch, then the Phantom is completely fine. So, as usual, it depends on what you want to use the bow for, but hopefully that helps you out. So, to summarize, the Mandarin Duck Windrunner gets a thumbs up from me. It is a solid, conventional design, which would feel right at home at an archery club or at your home. Stick on an arrow rest and get some decent matching arrows, and you've got a very strong foundation for starting archery at a good price. Anyway, I hope you found this helpful. This is New Sensei. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.